What up, though? This is your boy Mike D, host of Wrestling from the 313, and we are live a couple of days after Memorial Day. I hope everybody had a great holiday weekend, ate all the barbecue, and just chilled out and relaxed. We are back for another episode, and my guest is making his first appearance on Wrestling from the 313. He is from the Rejects podcast, Chris Nilsen. What up, though? How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. Thank you for having me on.
No problem. And real quick, let me let the viewers know we are on Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube. And just to make a quick announcement, we recently, a couple days ago, hit the 5,500 subscriber mark. And right now, currently, we are over 5,600. So we are on the road to 6,000. And after that, we on the road to 10,000.
Congratulations, man. That's awesome.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Definitely appreciate it. So, always like to give podcasters, when they coming on, an opportunity to kind of like tell their story, tell a little bit about themselves. So real quick, Chris, just tell us your wrestling story.
Well, mine's a little more interesting than most, especially as my co-hosts on the Rejects podcast. I was in the business for 15 years. I started out as a yardie in my high school days. Wrestling on trampolines, wrestling on the ground. We even built a ring when I was about 16 years old, which was absolutely horrible idea. There was a lot of injuries sustained at the time. But when I moved to Alabama in 2003, I got into the independent scene down here, wrestled locally for 15 years, retired back in 2018, have since stepped away from the business, but started a podcast with my co-hosts Jesse and CJ about a year and a half ago, just because our wives got tired of us getting together at karaoke and talking wrestling when we should be singing and having a good time. So I bring the in-ring knowledge. I break the kayfabe a little bit when we talk wrestling, whereas CJ and Jesse is an Attitude Era baby all day long. He's Monday Night Wars, strictly WWE from the days of the golden era when Hogan and them were there. CJ, we call him the historian. He's from the Texas area, now living in Alabama, but the man knows so much about the territory days and the old school wrestling. It's unbelievable. So you bring the three of us together, and it's a very unique product. We love talking wrestling, man.
That's what's up. So how did it come about? Like where were you guys when you thought about just, hey, let's do a podcast?
Well, so like I said, we gather a lot. We have a friend who has a karaoke production company, and he does it every Friday, and I actually host it. Okay. And between songs, between sets or what have you, me and CJ and Jesse would be gathered around, and we'd be talking about what happened on Raw or what happened on SmackDown or whatever PLE. And we one night, our wives all looked at us collectively and said, "Hey, why don't you guys just do a podcast so you can stop talking about it while we're hanging out having a good time, because you're ruining it." And me and Jesse actually started a podcast talking about football. We were doing a college football one. Okay. And then we transitioned from football to wrestling, and CJ joined us, and it just spiraled from there.
That's what's up. Real quick, you guys got some love. Shout out to Crander Q from Friends of the Square Circle. He's in the building.
Yes, sir.
Good to see him back. Check out his podcast.
The most famous beard in podcasting, I believe, is what his tagline is.
You know what, man? He got everybody that got a beard in podcasting. They all battling for the number one beard.
Yeah. His is pretty unique, though. I like it. He's got a pretty good beard.
Yeah. Shout out to Crander Q and Friends of the Square Circle. So how do you feel about the independent wrestling podcast scene and how it's grown over the years?
Man, I tell you what, I think podcasting is probably one of the fastest growing markets out there for guys like us who love to talk about professional wrestling. Uh,
Yeah,
you could pretty much put wrestling in a search bar on any platform, and you're going to find 20, 30, 40,000 different podcasts.
yeah,
And that was one of the hardest things about coming up with a name for our podcast. I'm sure you might have stumbled across the same things. You think of a good name, but then you got to search it and make sure somebody else doesn't have it. I
yeah,
think it's
yeah,
I think it's awesome. It's bringing people together, to be able to sit and talk about wrestling, no matter whether you're a WWE fan, AEW, what have you. It just brings everybody collectively together as a community. I absolutely love it.
yeah. Same here. Yeah, and I remember when I had started mine, and first I wanted to call it the Too Sweet podcast. That was like me paying homage to the NWO.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Definitely, yes. So then some just told me like, go on, go on Yahoo or Google and just put in Too Sweet podcast. And as soon as I did it, man, it was a whole thing full of Too Sweet podcasts. I said, nope, I can't do it. I got to do something. I got to do something that kind of stand out and something that's different. So then
Yes.
I'm just on the internet, just like, what can I name this podcast? And it was one of those websites where they generate a podcast name for you. And one of the ones that I saw, it was like wrestling it was another area code or something. So then I thought about, I'm like, wrestling from the 313. That sound different. So since then it just stuck. And since I've been doing this a little bit over 2 years, it's been great, man. I've met a lot of cool people. I've had a lot of cool opportunities, and the sky's the limit for everybody, man, for real.
Oh, absolutely. I wish I had a better example of how we came up with our name, but it was just in the same conversation where our wives told us to stop doing it at karaoke and start a podcast. I've got a friend, we call him Baby Hose because he's the youngest and his last name is Hose. But he looks at us and he goes, "Yeah, why don't you rejects take that wrestling talk somewhere else?" And when he called us rejects, I was like, "You just gave me my podcast name. Thank you." And I mean, there's a lot of other rejects out there, like with the name Rejects something, Rejects this, Rejects that. But we are the Rejects. My son helped me create our entrance theme. At the end of it, it says, "We are the Rejects." And that's how we welcome everybody to our page. Welcome to the Rejects. And then when we talk to our fans, we call them Rejects because if you were a wrestling fan when we were younger, we were looked at like rejects. Like you had the nerds, you had the jocks, and then you had the rejects who were wrestling fans. And we're one in a million, we're the best fans out there.
Oh yeah, definitely. Definitely. Shout out to Crander Q, man. Appreciate the love, man.
You're dropping them comments. What's up, Crander Q?
Got another comment. Shout out to Jesse from the Rejects.
There he is. He is actually Crander Q's long lost twin brother.
Hey, you know what?
Look at him.
I wanted to say something. I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, man, they look like they could be twins, man.
Hey, Crander Q had us on his show a while back, and he made it clear at the beginning of the show, do not adjust your screens. Me and Jesse may look alike, but we are not related. And he said it about 5 times on the show. I can't unsee it now. Every time I see Jesse, I think of Crander.
Same here. And it's funny because Friends of the Square Circle was the first podcast that I was a guest on, like, period. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So, just trying to get this whole wrestling podcast thing going. And I could just remember just going on Facebook, just searching wrestling podcasts, looking at different groups. And then I saw his post that he was looking for guests, and I'm just like, you know what? Why don't I give this a shot and do this? And I did an episode with him, and we've been cool since then. We talk almost every day about wrestling, podcasting. He always giving me ideas on how to get better and stuff like that. I give him ideas. So, man, he's real helpful, helping you with your podcast and stuff.
Yeah, he's been a huge help ever since Jesse got us in touch with him, because Jesse pretty much did what you did. He went searching on Facebook, and he came across the first one was, I don't know if you've heard of the No Gimmicks podcast. Yeah, with Kelvin. He was awesome. Jesse was actually on with him, and then we had Kelvin had me on as well. But then we got on with Crander Q, and it was the all three of the rejects were on there. It was a blast. We had a great time, and ever since I get a message from Crander Q just about every other day, and he's throwing ideas at me. He's sending me links to check out this, that, or the other. He's an awesome dude. I'm glad I met him.
Yeah, most definitely. Got another comment from Crander Q.
See, not related.
That's what's up. Shout out to Crander Q. So, real quick, is it any dream guests or podcasters you like to work with or have on your show?
Man, I think for me, and I just saw your cameo from Chris Van Vliet. I think for me, it would be to have him on the show. He is the epitome of what we do, and where he got to, the level. Like, he interviews all the stars. He is the guy. Yeah. Like, if you drop the initial CVV, that's remnant of RVD back in the day, man. Like, you know exactly who you're talking about when you say CVV. That's my dream guy. I would love to have him on the Rejects podcast just to pick his brain.
Definitely. I think mine would be him, Chris Van Vliet, and definitely Stone Cold Steve Austin. I could just imagine just sitting there drinking some brews, just talking wrestling. He would probably have a bottle of whiskey. We'd be taking shots or whatever. But I think for me, those two, I rock
with Stone Cold, man.
Hey, I got a Stone Cold beer mug in my kitchen right now. I pull it out every 3/16. I pull it out and drink a beer.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. National holiday for wrestling fans.
Oh yeah, most definitely. Definitely. We got another comment from Jesse.
Well, of course we wouldn't get a response from Adam Pierce. I love Jesse. Look, we have a philosophy. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And Jesse usually is shooting full court shots where I'm sitting at the free throw line. I'm trying to be realistic, and he's over there trying to be Steph Curry. And it just like, we got to start smaller. If we want Adam Pierce on the show, we're going to have to start with like a janitor from the WWE headquarters first and work our way up the ladder.
Right.
Stone Cold, he looks like the ringmaster. Touche.
Right. So now let's talk about some wrestling. One of the big things that's been happening in wrestling after WrestleMania, Seth Rollins has started this new faction. He started it with Paul Heyman, then it became Braun Breaker, and after Saturday night's main event, Bronson Reed returned, and now he's part of the faction. What are your thoughts on this faction, and do you think do you think it's possible they can make a big impact?
I 100% believe they will make a big impact. You're talking about two of the hottest young stars out there. Before Bronson Reed's injury at War Games, he was climbing that ladder super fast. And Braun Breaker is probably one of the most talented guys on the roster since an early debut of Brock Lesnar back in 2003, 2002 area. I don't think I've seen anybody make an impact like he has. Then to pair them up with the likes of Seth Rollins and Paul Heyman, you've got the makings of probably the next greatest faction you could ever see. This could be remnant of Evolution, although I don't want people to compare them to Evolution.
Yeah.
This is not an Evolution. This is something completely different, but on that same scale. I like to think that Seth Rollins has been the best wrestler on the planet for the past 10 years. Just because of he's the workhorse of WWE. He only took time away after that freak knee injury at a house show. But he's been the top guy for a long time. And everybody's like, what about Roman Reigns and his 5-year run? Roman wrestled once every couple of months during that 5-year run. Seth Rollins was wrestling every night of the week. So I'm all for this faction. I think they're going to be phenomenal. And it's only a matter of time before we see what they're capable of.
Yeah, I definitely I definitely agree. It give off Dangerous Alliance vibes from like back in the day when Paul Heyman was the manager of that faction. I definitely like it. It definitely puts Bronson Reed back into the mix because he was already in the mix before he got injured. He was kind of part of the bloodline a little bit. You know, he teamed with them at War Games. And then just even before then, he had that the matches that he had with Braun Strowman, which probably helped Braun Strowman get released because everybody was beating him. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, but I definitely think they're gonna make an impact. Now, this is my question. Do you think they need another member? And if they add another member, should it be a female?
So when it was just the three of them, when it was just Paul, Seth, and Braun, everybody kept saying they needed to add another member, and there was rumors of it being Becky, throwing his wife in the mix, kind of having like a new age McMahon Helmsley era alliance kind of deal. But belts don't make you the greatest, cough cough flair. But there are so many women on the roster that aren't being used. If it's not Becky, they could throw a female in there, but I feel like at that point you're overloading that faction with too much. The last faction we had with more than 4 members was the Bloodline, but it made sense. You had the Usos. They were the tag team champions. You had Roman Reigns. He was the head of the table, the tribal chief. He was running it all. Paul Heyman was the wise man, and then Sami Zayn was kind of the comic relief. He was the glue that held everything together. And then they threw in Solo Sikoa, and then you had Solo as the enforcer, and it felt like it was growing more than it should, and you knew there was something going to happen. The implosion was going to come eventually. I don't want that to happen with this new faction yet. If you add a female to it, it could be a female who's not an active competitor, but could be eye candy or could be a managerial, so to speak, if you put Braun and Bronson together as a tag team.
Bailey will be a nice addition. I think Becky will probably be better for the group since she's married to Seth Rollins. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I just don't know if Becky and Seth want to do a lot of on-screen work together. They haven't done anything on screen since the it was that intergender tag match against Baron Corbin and he gave Becky the end of days. So I would love to see it. I think it would work on screen chemistry wise, but then they would get too much comparison to Triple H and Stephanie McMahon when they were on screen together.
Yeah, but they would be a nice little power couple if they both had the titles, and I think that's the only way that it will work.
Yeah,
if they both were like the world champions, and just have them coming on with the titles in the ring, Paul Heyman hyping them up as the hype man, and then possibly Braun and Bronson Reed as the tag team champions, or one of them holding the IC title. Yeah, this definitely has potential to grow and be something big.
Definitely.
Okay, so now we're gonna talk about the Money in the Bank ladder match. So far for the women, Rhea Ripley, Julia, Roxanne Perez, Alexa Bliss is in. For the men, it's Penta, Seth Rollins, and Solo Sikoa. So far, with the people that are in right now, who are your favorites?
Man, I am really big on what Roxanne Perez and Julia have done since their call-ups. Not even so much since their call-ups. When Julia debuted in NXT, I didn't know much about her other than what I read online about this big star from Japan and coming over. And I got to catch a few of her matches from over in Japan. But ever since her debut, she's been phenomenal. Roxanne Perez is the epitome of why she is called the prodigy.
Yeah.
But if I had to pick anybody right now, it's got to be Alexa Bliss. I feel like they're on the verge of doing something really big with her and the Wyatt Six, and her winning Money in the Bank would be absolutely perfect for that. And catapulting her to that level. She would be a multi-time Money in the Bank winner. She would be right back in the title picture. She's already made it clear to Tiffy this past Friday on SmackDown that if she wins, she's going to cash in on her. But like Jesse just said, he wants some new blood in there. Julia or Roxanne would be perfect too. I mean, it's up in the air right now. I want to see the whole field, but right now it's Alexa Bliss for me.
I think for me, for the women, I want to see Roxanne Perez. I definitely think that she's the future of women's wrestling. And the crazy part about it, I don't even think she's 25 yet.
No.
Like she started because she was in Ring of Honor and she was like the women's champion at 19, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So it's like she got like a long way to go. She's like, yeah, I think it's a matter of time before we see her with the women's world championship. Julia will be a good pick. Rhea Ripley doesn't need it. Just let her kind of like be in a significant storyline for a while, and then kind of let her after that, just let her chase the championship, whoever the champion is at the time. But so far for the men, I mean, so far, yes, because right now they only got 3. Out of those 3, who are your favorite?
I love Penta. I love Penta, and I would love to say I want to see Penta, but my pick isn't in the match yet, and I hope he does. And I think I am speaking on behalf of everybody in the IWC, and that's Karrion Kross. Oh, you were thinking somebody else.
I was thinking somebody else.
Who were you thinking?
Jacob Fatu.
Oh, Jacob would be great, but I don't want to see someone who holds a title winning Money in the Bank. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Let Jacob carry that. He's going to feud with Solo eventually. I think Solo, if Jacob makes it in there, it's going to be great, but I think we're building to a Jacob Fatu versus Solo Sikoa for the U.S. title kind of deal.
Yeah.
But I feel like Karrion Kross would be perfect because he needs that push. I want the Karrion Kross we had in NXT when he was NXT champion. And he's getting there with the mind games, the backstage segments, the subtlety to it where he has the same hairstyle as the guy that he's messing with. You've caught that. It's amazing. His hair was down with AJ. He had the half ponytail with Sami Zayn. He's just been, and then the shoot promo he had for a while back, from right after WrestleMania, the shoot promo he had was just amazing. And I think if he gets the push, if he gets the opportunity to be in it, he needs to get it. But if not, man, I would love to say Penta, but I just don't know if they're ready to put that rocket on his back yet.
Yeah.
I think Solo would be the one to steal it just so he could tease Jacob with it. You know?
That would be interesting.
Not that he would waste the cash in on a U.S. title, But like if Jacob qualifies and makes it into the match and Solo wins it, now you've like, oh, you're just the US champ. I'm going to be world champ, or I'm going to be the WWE undisputed champion. And it'll further the fuel to add fuel to the fire.
Definitely. We got another comment. John, what up, though? Shout out to John from the Sports for You podcast and the Sports for You Wrestling podcast. They actually got the Sports for You Wrestling podcast tonight. I think it's at 9:45 on YouTube. So if you on YouTube, make sure you check them out. Make sure you subscribe to their channel as well. Yeah, but that would be definitely like interesting if Solo won. Even if he didn't cash it in on the United States title, if he cashed, I don't think he would win it if he cashed it in on one of the world champions. I just don't see him being a world champion.
I love where his character is going now. I love that he's getting to talk more. His promos in NXT were fire because they had a more realistic tone to it. But now you're getting to see some of his character. He's loosening up. He's cracking jokes. He's being a smart aleck, and you're seeing more of. I don't know. He's more like out of all of Rikishi's kids, he has the most personality. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like Jimmy and Jay have good personality, but Solo is funny, and he's not supposed to be, but he is.
Yeah.
So I can see him being a big player later on, but if he does win it, he's not going to cash in successfully.
Yeah, and they done made him break character a couple of times. Sami Zayn.
Yeah. Yeah, that's Sammy though. Like that whole character in the bloodline, I think he was put there just to see how many times he can make everybody laugh, which is very Uzi of him.
Right. Definitely. So another match that's announced for Money in the Bank is John Cena versus Logan Paul. No, John Cena and Logan Paul versus Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso. What's your thoughts on this? And like, I'm not gonna say this storyline is going all over the place because I know Cody is probably gonna be chasing Cena to get his title back, and then you got Logan Paul and Jey Uso. If you really think about it, Jey Uso right now is in like 3 storylines. He's in the storyline with Logan Paul. He's involved in the Seth Rollins, CM Punk whole thing, and then you still got the battle with him and Gunther. Jay is a busy man, but just like overall, what do you think about this whole tag match? Like, where do you think it's going, or where you think it's leading to?
It kind of confused me a little bit. I feel like WWE, the brass in WWE, the writers were feeling like they were losing the heel aspect of John Cena, and they said we have to do something to increase people's hatred for him. Yeah. So they sent him after Jay, because Jay is the top face in the company right now. Everybody loves to yeet. I got yeet glasses in my car. My wife has a yeet sleeve. We got it at a local house show we went to. Like, we're big Jey Uso fans. We do it along at home. Like, and I say yeet about 50 times on the Rejects podcast. It's just how I get people into it. I love yeet. I love to yeet. I don't know if I'm allowed to yeet, though. I'm 40 years old. My kids yell at me all the time when they hear me say yeet. They're like, Dad, that's cringe. And I'm like, I don't know what cringe is, but we'll get to that later. But sending John after Jay at the end of their match kind of made sense. He got a lot of heat for attacking Jay. Yeah. And I think it was more heat for helping Logan Paul, because as good as Logan Paul is, so many people hate him because he's a YouTuber who became famous, and now he's wanting to be a wrestler, and it works.
Yeah, he actually can wrestle.
He is so good in the ring, it makes me sick. Like, I should not like him as an athlete, because he annoys me as a YouTuber. It's like the ebb and flow. It's like the balance, the yin and the yang of Logan Paul is you hate him diabolically because of who he is and how he became famous,
Yeah.
But my God, can he wrestle?
Yeah.
So
We agree.
and then Cody getting in the mix. I like the partnership there. I like the Cody Rhodes, Jey Uso when they tagged back and they won the titles in their post conference when Jay
Oh
was
yeah.
on. They hit a little bit of that Wheatley vodka. That was cinematic. That was money. I loved it.
Yeah.
It still confuses me a bit. I want to see how it plays out, but I like the match. I think it's going to be a good draw. And I think it's to help get John over more as a heel because the fans were starting to be more empathetic of what John was saying and how much it made sense. We've called for this heel turn for 20 something years. We finally got it. And now we're like, oh, this is the greatest thing ever.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, it was a long time coming for Cena's heel turn. I remember when it happened, everybody was saying this is the greatest heel turn ever. To me, it's still the second biggest heel turn. Of course, the biggest heel turn of all time is Hulk Hogan when he turned and joined the NWO. Like, I think it didn't have that big impact because it was like it's what everybody wanted. When Hogan turned heel, nobody expected it. You know what I'm saying? It was kind of rumored a little bit. If you like kept up with like the little wrestling hotlines, and they would like, it was a guy that would like do rumors in the Detroit news back in the day, like during the Monday Night Wars and stuff.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and he rumored, and he had put in one of his articles that it was rumored that Hulk Hogan might be the third guy. So when I told my dad about it, and he kind of watched wrestling because I watched it too.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, we're going to get this pay-per-view or whatever. So I'm upstairs in my room watching it. He downstairs. And then when Hogan came out, I knew right then and there he was going to turn because he looked too serious. If they would have had him come out with the music and just doing everything like how he used to do when he would come to the aisle and take his shirt off and then drop the leg drop and had to just the music stop, I think it would have been just like it was already a shock factor, but if he would have just came out with the music and everything, then did it, it would have been like, man, it would have been people, you would have had little kids in there crying probably if they weren't.
Oh yeah. I remember that pay-per-view to this day, and Bobby Heenan almost gave it away. When Hogan started making his way down to ringside, and Bobby Heenan said, but is he the third man? And he starts arguing with the other commentators. He's like, you don't know. He could be the third man. It was like, was he really supposed to say that? Like, come on, dude. Don't give it away if it really is going to happen. And then when Hogan dropped the leg on Macho Man, like as a kid, because I was still a kid, it blew my mind. I was like, this is my idol, my hero. And now I have to hate him. Like, I really hate him. That's like, it was Hogan and it was Macho Man for me. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, and to see him do that to Macho Man made me hate him even more.
But what for me, I think when Hogan turned heel, I actually loved it because I think it was something different. Because like if you watch WCW when they were getting to that point where Nitro was coming on and they started battling with Raw, like Hulk Hogan was getting booed. Like he was literally getting booed. Yeah. And he had to do something. If he didn't make that heel turn, he probably, I wouldn't say he would have been out of wrestling early, but I don't know. I just think that he couldn't go on that long just being a good guy for as long as he was before he turned heel. And then when he turned heel, he was one of the best heels of all time. Like,
oh yeah,
he
Hollywood
played that
Hogan.
role.
Yeah,
he played that role of Hollywood Hogan. Now with the Cena heel turn, I would say the only thing, and I think anybody that's watching this will agree, the only thing that confuses me with the Cena heel turn is the involvement with The Rock. And they never like really talked about, why he sided with The Rock. And then The Rock never even showed up, you know what I'm saying, after Elimination Chamber, really to like give his side. I think that if The Rock would have stayed involved in Cena's heel turn and they did something kind of like what Seth Rollins and Paul Heyman are doing now and forming a little faction, I think it could have been kind of NWO like without it being NWO, because you would have had Travis Scott in the group. Logan Paul could have had some type of affiliation or whatever. Like you could have got a few guys and
What happened to Mike? Man, I'm not sure what happened to Mike, but I'm just gonna keep. I'm gonna keep going with what he was talking about here. I feel like The Rock's involvement is still to come. One of the things we talk about on the Rejects podcast is long-term storytelling, and there's still a lot to come. We knew The Rock wasn't going to be at WrestleMania 41. He did not have it in his schedule to be able to appear, and I think as this Cena run progresses, you're going to see more of The Rock, more of The Rock's involvement later on. There's rumors that Travis Scott's going to have a big role in Money in the Bank, so you could see Travis Scott come out and help John Cena and Logan Paul win. Maybe Logan Paul sides with John Cena. I don't know. But The Rock, yeah, he's on the board of the TKO. He's the final boss. I'm watching the screen. Mike is having some technical difficulties. I can talk all day long if I want to. I can't see none of the comments if there are any, but this happens. This is part of podcasting. We have it over on the Rejects podcast. It happens from time to time over there. So hopefully Mike can get his situated. I see his screen's up, but he's got no audio or visual feed there. So y'all, there he is.
okay, man.
Hey, you're good, bro. I covered for you the best I could, man.
Hey,
it's happened to us too. We've had it happen.
Man, I'm like, oh man, like what is going on? But man, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Hey, no problem, man. No problem. So what I was saying, and I'll say it so I don't know if you heard it all, but one of the things we like on the Reject podcast is to talk about how Triple H is so good at long-term storytelling. And I feel like everybody's jumping the gun, blaming The Rock for not showing up at Mania. We know that The Rock didn't have it in his schedule to appear. That's why we got Travis Scott instead. But I think as this Cena retirement tour progresses, later on through the year, we will see The Rock and what his involvement is in all of it. He's on the board of the TKO. He's got to be pulling strings somewhere, and it'll only be a time. Eventually we'll see that happen.
Definitely. So speaking of Travis Scott, I know a lot of people was like not feeling the fact that Travis Scott slapped the hell out of Cody Rhodes and just his involvement. It's rumored that he's been training to be a wrestler, but then I heard that he hasn't been training because he's supposed to be, and then it's rumored that the tag match is going to eventually be a 6-man tag, and he's supposed to be one of the guys in it. Just what do you think of his involvement in just wrestling, period?
So we know if you look back in the history of professional wrestling, at least with WWE or even WCW, anytime celebrities get involved, it's always for that cross promotion. It's to bring new eyes to the product. And with Travis Scott, we saw Triple H show up at his concert. He dubbed him the hardcore champion, which that was confusing because we thought maybe it would become a 24/7 title. Somebody would take it from him at his concert or something, but he's just carried this belt around. I, for one, would have to see what he does in the ring to fully make an assumption about what he's capable of. Because you look at what Logan's able to do, you look back at what Bad Bunny has been able to do. Those two, as far as celebrity wrestlers, have been phenomenal.
Yeah,
Any other
I
time,
agree.
any other time in the past, it's not worked out well. So 2 out of like 20 is not a very good ratio. Travis Scott could very well shock us and be amazing in the ring. So if he gets added to this match and it becomes a 6-man, I would really want to see who else joins Cody and Jay for it to be an even kind of deal, but I don't think it'd be another celebrity. I don't think they bring Bad Bunny for no reason. But then again, it's WWE. They could, I don't know, they could pull out Waka Flocka and or 2 Chainz or another rapper who's got beef with Travis Scott. I don't know.
Right.
But I would have to see Travis Scott in the ring and see what he's capable of, because that smack was probably the smack heard around the world at Elimination Chamber.
Yeah. And the third man that I've been hearing that will be on the Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso team, I heard it might be Jimmy Uso, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's R-Truth. I think R-Truth is still gonna have, he's still gonna be in this story with Cena. I could see maybe about another month or 2 or whatever. What do you think of R-Truth? Like, and I've been seeing this all over the internet. Everybody thinks R-Truth deserves like a serious title run. What do you think?
If you ask R-Truth, he would probably tell you he's too old for that shit.
Yeah, he is in his he is in his 50s.
I will say this, and I say this to the entire internet wrestling community. I say this to everybody who watches professional wrestling. R-Truth is a national treasure, and he needs to be saved. He needs to be honored. He needs to be enshrined in every aspect of history there is, because the man has you can't miss with R-Truth.
Yeah.
He is gold every time he's on TV. He's a phenomenal in-ring talent. I just don't know if he can go the way he could. He's a former NWA World Heavyweight Champion, TNA champion. He's held gold in every company he's ever been in. I would love to see him become WWE champion one day, just for the pop that he would get.
Yeah.
But I don't know if we would ever get it. I think we're a little past that point with R-Truth. But I want him to stay in this angle just for comedic purposes, because it takes the serious edge off of all of it, at the right points.
Yeah. Because when he came out as Saturday night's main event, he had the Cena theme music. Then he had the t-shirt, the Ron Cena t-shirt. Yep. That had me cracking up. That reminded me of that episode of Martin, when they were selling at the t-shirts at the Whitney Houston concert, but it was really Brubman on the front with a wig on. Yep. And it said Whitney Hutton. That's what it reminded me of right there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think if he was to win the title, let him get the title for about a week or 2, and let him lose the title on like Raw or something like that, just to say that he was the champion. And like you said, let him get that big pop. And, I think he deserved it. He put a lot of work in. When he was K-Quick with the Road Dogg, a lot of people remember that. Then, like you said, he was NWA World Champion and came back to WWE and still here. And a lot of people that work for WWE cannot say that. You know what I'm saying? You got people like Cena, Orton, Undertaker, Triple H, guys like that can say that they've been in WWE forever. But you wouldn't expect a guy like R-Truth, who's not like a main eventer, to be in WWE this long. To just show you how much they respect him too.
Yeah, like I said, every time he hits the screen, it's absolute gold. And I think what really helped him cement his legacy in WWE was his 54-time 24/7 I-95
European
television 7-Eleven. And everything he did with that 24/7 title, he made it important. Even though it was not important, He
Yep.
made it important, and it was just gold. And I love R-Truth to death. I think he's probably the greatest thing we've had over the past 20 years as far as genuine comedy when it comes to professional wrestling.
Yeah. I think one of my favorite like R-Truth moments, I think it was a promo that all the guys that was gonna be in the Money in the Bank match, and he just come out like, yeah, I'm gonna win Money in the Bank. And Kane like, dog, you're not even in the match, man. What are you talking about? Then he came out, he like, I'm not. Then he like, my bad. I'm just gone. And then it was the other one. I think it was during the Royal Rumble. He came out running to the ring, goes under the ring, pulls out a ladder, climbs the ladder looking for a briefcase, doesn't get one, and then ends up getting eliminated or whatever. So it's just like you said.
Yeah.
He's one of them guys, like, just over the last 20 years, just, making people laugh and just giving great moments.
Yeah, my favorite promo from R-Truth was it was pre-Royal Rumble. I can't remember the year, but Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman are in the ring.
Yeah.
And R-Truth comes down and he cuts this massive heat promo on, you're thinking Brock Lesnar, and he's telling him he's going to throw him over the top rope, and then he says Paul Heyman. And Paul's like, I'm not in it. Brock is. And he goes, oh, my bad. I'm not in it. He's like, he broke Brock Lesnar.
Yeah.
Brock Lesnar legit was laughing and just cutting up to that promo. I thought it was great.
Yeah. That was definitely a classic right there. And I think I think it was in a report that Brock Lesnar, like, he likes doing promos with R-Truth.
Yep. Yeah. Because R-Truth can make him break character.
Definitely. So let's talk about this weekend, and then we're gonna talk about this weekend. NXT had Battleground, that pay-per-view.
Yep.
And the main event was Trick Williams versus Joe Hendry for the TNA Championship. I was on a podcast last week, the Sports for You Wrestling Podcast, and that was one of my predictions, that I said that Trick Williams would win. I said this is he's going to make history, and he did that. Just real quick, your thoughts. What are your thoughts on WWE superstars winning the TNA Championship? Do you think it's good, or do you think it's bad?
Well, that's a double-edged sword there. If you look at it from a historical standpoint, the fact that it was even defended on a WWE program was historical in itself. They advertised it as the TNA World Championship being defended by Joe Hendry against Trick Williams. The fact that they gave it to Trick Williams, it's really saying a lot about the partnership between TNA and NXT. Trick has had a lot of appearances over the past couple of weeks on TNA, increasing the feud with Joe Hendry. But now, as the TNA World Champion, he's going to have to make appearances on TNA's product even more. But his first title defense will be next week on NXT against Mike Santana, which is amazing in its own right. So as a fan, do I think it diminishes the TNA title that they gave it to a WWE contracted superstar? No, I think it furthers enhances the partnership between the two. But from a business standpoint, I see exactly why they did it. The more times that title can be shown on WWE TV,
more people gonna go to watch TNA to see.
And I also think it'll help from a business standpoint. It'll help TNA land a US TV deal as well, especially if they can show that while the TNA champion is on TV, it's increasing the numbers of WWE's programming, which will help TNA land another US cable contract and get them back in the eyes of the US fan base and not just on Access TV.
Yeah, I definitely agree.
Trick Willie is him. Like he's the second coming of him. Like, come on now.
Yeah.
I'm all about Trick Williams. I love the gimmick. I love what he's doing.
Yeah.
He's a former, sorry, I have to shout this out. I know you're a Michigan guy. You're from Detroit, but he was on the Philadelphia Eagles. That's my team. I'm from Philly. Not many people know that Trick was on our practice squad as he was drafted by us out of South Carolina. So big shout out to Trick Williams. I love a former Eagles player. So
yeah, definitely. And Trick kind of reminds me, like, I would say he's kind of like the second coming of Booker T a little bit. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
He definitely has the look, and I'm pretty sure that Trick Williams or Booker T is giving him advice or giving him tips on bettering his character. You said,
he has to work on that spinneroonie though, doesn't he?
Oh yeah, that spinneroonie was terrible.
I almost wanted to change the channel. I was like, I don't know if I could continue watching this match after that. That was almost Vince McMahon-esque horrible.
Yeah, that was definitely up there. I would say the only thing that I want to see with the WWE, the NXT TNA partnership, is now time for somebody from TNA to win an NXT championship. You know what I'm saying? And it seems like the NXT wrestlers been beating the TNA wrestlers, but I know the TNA wrestlers have been beating some NXT wrestlers, mainly on the TNA shows. But I would love to see maybe the Rascals or somebody win the NXT Tag Team Championships, or maybe the Hardys win the NXT Championship, or maybe the Nemeth brothers. I know they're the TNA Tag Team Champions now. So I think that's the only thing that I would like to see. And like you said, Trick Williams winning the title and having it on both shows, it's going to get people to watch TNA. And I also think for Trick Williams, it's good for him because me personally, I don't think he's ready for the main roster just yet.
No.
And I think him being the champion would kind of like help his character a little bit. You know what I'm saying? TNA is necessarily not Raw or SmackDown, but I think it would help him a little bit. I think their crowd is a little bit bigger than WWE's or like the NXT crowd or whatever. Yeah. But I think it would help him out, and then he'd be able to work with different superstars from TNA. He'd be able to work with Nick Nemeth again, work with Moose, and whoever else. You know, TNA is always bringing in like legends from the past or other free agents. So I'm interested in it. It's going to be interesting to see who takes the title, the championship off of him when he finally drops it.
I want it to be Moose. When we got Moose versus Obafemi, and as great of a match as that was, I wanted Moose versus Trick Williams because I felt like even though Moose is a big guy, I feel like athletically he would have had a better match with Trick Williams than he would have with Obafemi, and it surprised me because Moose and Obafemi had a great match. Yeah. But I would love to see, and if we get Dolph Ziggler on NXT. Nick Nemeth on NXT. That would be amazing because he was a former NXT champion. He was doing a lot before he got released and then ended up in TNA, but I don't know if they're ready for that yet. I think Moose would be the perfect one to beat Trick Williams and take the title back to TNA.
Yeah. And another person to look out for that could possibly, I don't think she'll do it yet, but depending on how long this partnership is going and how long she's in TNA, you can't forget about Indy Hartwell. She just signed with them. She could possibly cross back over and, you know, do challenge for the NXT championship again. So got some interesting stuff going on with the TNA championship being over in WWE.
Yes, sir.
So yesterday, the main event of NXT was Stephanie Vaquer defending the NXT Women's Championship against JC Jane. And I don't think anybody expected this. JC Jane wins the NXT Women's Championship. What did you think if you saw it, what were you thinking, and if you didn't see it and read it, just like what were your thoughts? Period.
So out of my other two co-hosts on the Rejects podcast, I am the only one that watches NXT every week. I love the product. I love what they're doing down there. Ava is amazing as a GM.
Yeah.
The talent down there is phenomenal. My jaw literally hit the floor and I let out. I don't even know what the sound was that came out of my mouth, but it scared my wife. My wife even looked up from her phone and went, "What happened?" And I was like, Stephanie Vaquer just dropped the title to JC Jane, of all people. And the way it played out was almost perfect. Yeah, the involvement from Fallon Henley, the distraction from Jasmine Nix, like it was like Fatal Influence was what they needed to be all along.
Yeah.
To help one of them secure a title, and not the women's North American Championship, but the NXT Championship.
Yeah.
The fact that it happened only 78 days into Stephanie Vaquer's reign was confusing until after the show. I don't know if you saw the reports like I did, but there's rumors now that Stephanie Vaquer is getting called up pretty quickly. She's going to be on the Raw roster, possibly in the Money in the Bank match. And Jordynne Grace as well is getting called up.
Yeah.
And she's going to end up on SmackDown. If she ends up in the Money in the Bank match as well, you're talking about two long-term tenured WWE superstars in Rhea Ripley and Alexa Bliss against four newcomers who collectively only have 2.5 years in the company. Yeah. And that being Roxanne Perez being the longest tenured out of those four.
Yeah.
That would be unprecedented. That would be an amazing match. I would put money on it that it would steal the show. It would be the match of the night. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Yeah. But Stephanie Vaquer was signed to the company with the belief that she would be main roster ready early because of her ability within AAA, within the other companies that she worked for over in Japan. She was most ready. Jordynne Grace has been ready for a long time. Yeah. And they just needed that time to acclimate to the WWE, the way the product is presented and the in-ring work. So I was utterly shocked. I think JC deserves it. She's a great talent. She's annoying as hell as a heel, which is great for her character. Yeah. And now I there's a small part of me that believes this is a setup for Mandy Rose to come back. But Mandy Rose has been talking a lot of trash about WWE as of late, especially after the cuts. So hopefully this is just to build up Fatal Influence as the next big thing in NXT. And we'll see a new landscape with Stephanie and Jordynne Grace moving up pretty quickly.
Yeah. And that was to piggyback what you said off about Stephanie Vaquer. She actually, when she signed with the company, she said before she goes to the main roster, she want to go to NXT just to learn the style and then work on her English. So when she do her promos, she'll be able to speak English. Yeah, I when she got pinned, I was in shock. First of all, I'm just sitting there. I'm like, wait a minute, did she just win? And it dawned. It didn't hit me until they started showing the crowd, and everybody in the crowd just froze. Like, did that just happen? But it makes sense though, because you got to remember after WrestleMania, she was on Monday Night Raw.
Yep.
And it was eventually, and they always do this with NXT champions in NXT. Before they go up to the main roster, if they a champion, they either lose the title or they win the match and they just relinquish the title, and then they head on to the main roster. So and then of course, like you said, the story that came out that they Stephanie and Jordynne Grace are getting called up. So it makes sense But yeah, this is like the future of women's wrestling. Like they about to take over. And one of the spots I think for the women's ladder match is either gonna go to Naomi, Jade Cargill, and Nia Jax, because they supposed to have a triple threat match on SmackDown this
Yeah.
Friday
Oh, okay.
for
Yeah.
one of the spots. Yeah. And then I
Yeah.
think Jacob Fatu is supposed to be in a qualifying match also.
Yeah.
So yeah. But yeah, Stephanie Vaquer, I would say throw her in that women's title period picture right now. She don't need the women's intercontinental championship. Throw her in there right now to be the women's champion, because it really don't seem like the women's division in Raw has that many contenders for real like that. Because I'm thinking, because you got
You got
Liv,
Io Sky's the champion, but you
yeah,
got Rhea Ripley. You got Liv and Raquel are tag team champions. There's really no female tag teams anymore.
yeah,
They got rid of Katana Chance and Caden Carter, which were probably the best tag team on the roster as athletically.
yeah,
But yeah, I could just see Stephanie Vaquer versus Io, Roxanne Perez versus Io. Rhea Ripley, she's great at working smaller females because she's the biggest female on Raw.
yeah,
So you got to think they're going to rebuild the women's division on Raw, but they're also going to bolster the one on SmackDown because they've got Julia. You add Jordan Grace, you've got Naomi, Jade Cargill, Nia Jax, Candice LeRae, Chelsea Green, Zelina Vega. Like the names on the SmackDown side are more prominent than what you got on the Raw side.
yeah. I definitely agree with that. And then Bailey, she's been out on the sideline, so ain't no telling when she's coming back. Honestly, what they need to do with the women's tag team championship, just let somebody from NXT win those and put it back on NXT, because
Yeah.
WWE really don't care about the women's tag team championships like that. I think NXT would do something with them and utilize them more than the main roster will.
Yeah, you got a lot of women down there that could tag. I mean, you got Sol Ruka and Zarya. They are phenomenal together. You could bring back Jakara Jackson and put her back with Lash Legend. I thought they were working towards that, having them. They were doing stuff in TNA, and then Jakara was part of the cuts, which I think Lash Legend is probably a bigger star than Jakara Jackson was, but the two of them together as a tag team really meshed. They were really good. So you could do a lot in the NXT division with the females carrying the tag team titles down there. I think it would be great.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Well, Chris, I appreciate you, stopping by. We talking wrestling. And real quick, just any advice you got to the podcasters, any podcaster that want to start a wrestling podcast, any advice, for them to get started?
Man, I think the best advice I've got is one that I have to keep telling myself, and that's don't stop delivering the product that you want. There are a lot of times in this business, in this podcasting world, where you could get dejected and feel down because you don't have enough viewers, you're not getting comments or what have you. It comes with time. You got to put in the work, just like everything else in life. You put in the work and you will succeed. And that's what we're at the Rejects are trying to do, is just keep putting in the work. We're trying to find the right formula. It's out there, man. And just keep working at it, because one person's taste is not going to be everybody's taste, and somebody's going to find a taste for you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. And one thing that I would just say, like, whatever you do, you don't need a bunch of stuff to get started.
Nope.
Sometimes all you need is your phone, a light, whatever. Just whatever it is, just do it. You know what I'm saying? And once you start and you start enjoying what you're doing, and then once you start getting that feedback, you start getting that love, people start reaching out to you, wanting to collab with you, enjoying your content, you're gonna love it. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, the last 2 years I've been doing this, it's just been fun, man. I've been able to meet a lot of cool people and just do a lot of cool things with this wrestling stuff. And hopefully, like you said, man, we just keep grinding and being successful, and hopefully we make it to the big times and we able to live off our podcast. And that's the only thing we can do, and still just live good, make money.
That's the only thing my wife hopes for, is that I make it rich by doing this and she doesn't have to work anymore.
I definitely hear that.
Right.
So, Chris, before we get out of here, any shout outs or anything that you want to push, like your social media platforms, anything?
Yeah. Well, first of all, big shout out to you, man, for reaching out and getting me up on here. I appreciate it. Much love for that, man. This has been absolutely a blast. I'd be willing to do it 1,000,000 times over. I had fun tonight. If anybody out there watching wants to check out me and my other rejects, we go live every Sunday afternoon, 1 p.m. Central Time, 2 p.m. Eastern, on Facebook Live. You can catch us, The Rejects, on Facebook. We are also on YouTube at The Rejects 256. We have an X handle, but I think I'm the only one that really uses it. It's at The Rejects 256 as well. And then our podcast drops on Wednesday, the latest, on Amazon, Apple, and I think that's it. Spotify podcast. Yeah. And again, it can be found at The Rejects 256. I believe I gave you the link tree. They can find it on your site and ours as well. So find us on Facebook. That's where we get a lot of our business. The Rejects. You can't miss a big microphone in the middle of the profile picture.
Sweet. Before I get out of here, just want to give a shout out to WSN, Wrestling Society Network. This show is streaming on their Facebook channel. It might even be on the app also. So, yeah, and also check out Wrestling from the 313. Episodes are on their website. You go to their podcast room. You see a lot of great podcasts on there. Make sure you check out Wrestling from the 313. And just check out the Wrestling Society Network app on Apple TV, Roku, and Amazon Fire Stick. And of course, check out Wrestling from the 313 on YouTube, where we are continuing to grow. We are on the road to 6,000, and then after that, it's 10,000. Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, anything else? Nope, I think that's it. And as always, want to tell everybody, support wrestling podcasters and support independent wrestling, because you never know, those people that you see on those independent shows might be the guys that you see in the WWE. With the way WWE going, they might have them on NXT in a year or two. So yeah, just support independent wrestling. They out here grinding just like the guys in the big leagues are. So for my guests, Chris from the Rejects podcast, I am Mike D. This is Wrestling from the 313. We will see you next week. We will have 2 episodes, but like wrestling pay-per-view cards, it is subject to change. So I'm your boy Mike D. We out. Peace.